Good afternoon. Good afternoon, students. Today we will learn about data modeling using ER model. First of all, what is data model? Data model is a collection of logical constructs used to represent data structure and relationship within the database. Basically, the data models are divided into two parts. One is conceptual model and other one is implementation model. Conceptual model is the logical nature of data representation, and implementation model on how the data is represented in the database. A data model is a real world enterprise. Data describe the enterprise's entity and their relationship among these entities. A data model consists of high level construct that hide low level storage detail. That means how the data can be stored in the database. It can only deal with the front end of the database. There are the some example common data models are relational data model, then hierarchical data model, then network data model, object oriented data model, and object relational data model. A semantic data model is more abstract, high level model that can assist a user in describing an enterprise. A data model is a set of concepts to describe the structure of database and certain constraints that our database should obey. That means basically a data model is the structure of data, how data can be stored and how it can be retrieved from the database. There are the many constraints that are applied on the database. Data model operations for specifying database retriever and update by referring to the concept of data model. Operation on data model may include basic operation and user defined operation. Basically, a data model is a structure of the database. That means how data can be stored in the database and with what query we can retrieve the database, we can retrieve the data from the database. And when we store the data in the database, then there are the different constraints that the database should be obey. Data models relationship in conceptual model, one to one, one to many relationship, and many to many relationship. Implementation database model are hierarchical data model, network data model, and relational data model. This is the diagram of the hierarchical database model, logically represented by the upside down tree. Each parent can have many children, but each children has only one parent. This is the example of a organization in which a final assembly there is a root of a tree, then component that is divided, there are three subparts, that is component A, component B, and component C. Then again component A is divided into next level, have only one children, that is assembly A, and component C has two children, assembly A and assembly C. Then again in third level segment, their assembly A have two children, part A and part B, and assembly B has three children, part C, part D, and part E. We can see in this diagram there is a parent has many children, more than one children, but our children have only one parent. This is the example of hierarchical database model. Advantage of this hierarchical database model is conceptual simplicity, database security and integrity, data independence, and efficiency. Then next is the disadvantage of this hierarchical database models are complex implementation, difficult to manage and lack of standards, lack structural independence, application programming and use complexity, implementation limitations. Next is the network database model. Each record can have multiple parents, number compound of sets. Each set has owner record and the member record. Member may have several owners. This is the example of the network data model. In this diagram, we can show the network data model. That means one entity is uh, relationship with the other entity. There are the many different types of relationship, maybe one to many relationship and many to one relationship. Like in salesperson and the invoice, there is one to many relationship, and customer and invoice sales set, there is one to many, and again payment set and customer has one to many relationship. Invoice and invoice line set, that is one to many relationship. Product and inventory set may belongs to the relationship one to many relationship. This is the example of network database model. Then advantages of network database models are conceptual simplicity, handles more relationship types, data access flexibilities, promote database integrity, data independence, conformation to standards. Disadvantage: system complexity, lack of structural independence. Then relational database model. This perceived by the user as a collection of tables for data storage. Table are the series of row and columns intersection. Table related by sharing common entity characteristics. This is the example of relational database model. Means in a table name agent, there are six attribute. In first attribute is agent code, then agent name, then agent last name, agent first name, then agent, then agent area code, agent phone number. This is the all information about the agent. And in uh, a second table, that is customer, there is again 8 attribute, and first attribute is customer code, then customer last name, customer first name, customer national, then customer area code, customer phone number, customer review date, and agent code. In these two table, one column is same, that is agent code. Agent code in agent table and customer table is the same uh, column, in which define the relationship, which is define the relationship between the agent table and the customer table. This is the example of the relational database model. Each customer is a has a agent and agent code, like this is display in the link through agent code line. Agent in the first column, in the first table, there is agent code a column has a primary key, and in the customer table there is agent code column has a foreign key. Then relational database model advantages structural independence, improved conceptual simplicity, easier database design, implementation, management and use, ad hoc query capability with SQL, powerful database management system. Relational database model disadvantages: subsequential hardware and software, system software overhead, poor design and implementation as made easy, may promote islands of information problem. Entity relationship database model. This is the complements of relational database data model concept, represented an entity relationship diagram, ER diagram, based on entity attribute and their relationship. This is the model that define the relationship between the two entity. Entity is a simple name of a thing or a person or a place, and which define the relationship between two. This model define the relationship between the two entities, like painter has an entity and painting again as an entity, and paints is the relationship between these two entity. And in this diagram, this is one to many relationship. This means one painter has many painting, then this is one to many relationship. Then entity relationship database model. The advantage of entity relationship data models are exceptional conceptual simplicity, visual representation, effective communication tool integrated with the relational database model. Disadvantages of the entity relationship database are limited constraint representation, limited relational representation, no data manipulation language, loss of information content. Object oriented database model. The object is an abstraction of real world entities are stored. Attribute describe properties. Collection of similar object is a class. Method represent real world action of classes. Classes are organized in a class hierarchy. Inheritance is ability of object to inherit attribute and method of class above it. Next is, what is entity? Entity is an object, place or event that the system store information about. This is It is a thing or object in real world that is distinguished for all other object. An entity may be an object with a physical existence, for example a person, a car, house or employee, or it may be an object with a conceptual existence like a company, a job or a university. ਫੋਰ ਐਗਜ਼ਾਮਪਲ ਐਂਟਿਟੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਕੋਲ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਇੱਕ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਆਬਜੈਕਟ ਦਾ ਨਾਂ, ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਪਲੇਸ ਦਾ ਨਾਂ, ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਕੋਲ ਕੰਪਨੀ ਦਾ, ਜੋਬ ਦਾ ਜਾਂ ਯੂਨੀਵਰਸਿਟੀ ਜਾਂ ਕੋਰਸ ਦਾ ਨਾਮ, that is called an entity which has a physical existence or a conceptual existence. Any object with the physical existence or a conceptual existence is called an entity. An entity has a set of properties, and the values for some set of properties may uniquely identify that entity. For example, an employee has an entity and it may have an employee number properties. Those values uniquely identify that property. The value of E456 is employee number would uniquely identify one employee in the company, and entity is represented by an rectangular labeled with a name of entity in ER model. ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਜਿੰਨੀਆਂ ਵੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਕੋਲ ਐਂਟੀਟੀਜ਼ ਨੇ, ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਕੋਲ ਆਬਜੈਕਟ ਆ ਜਿਹਦੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਕੋਲ ਫਿਜ਼ੀਕਲ ਜਾਂ ਕਨਸੈਪਚੁਅਲ ਐਗਜ਼ਿਸਟੈਂਸ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਆ, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਆਪਾਂ ਐਂਟੀਟੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ। ਫੋਰ ਐਗਜ਼ਾਮਪਲ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਪਰਸਨ, ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਪਰਸਨ, ਕਾਰ, ਹਾਊਸ ਜਾਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਕੰਪਨੀ ਦਾ ਨਾਂ, ਯੂਨੀਵਰਸਿਟੀ ਨੇਮ ਔਰ ਅ ਕੋਰਸ, all these things are called an entities. A properties, a set of properties that describe that entity, ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਕੋਲ ਇੱਕ entity ਹੈ, ਇੱਕ set of properties ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ uniquely define ਕਰਦੀਆਂ, that is called, also called an attribute. And ਜਦੋਂ entity ਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ER diagram ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ represent ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, then it is represented by an rectangle label. Through a rectangle ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹਨੂੰ entity ਨੂੰ ER diagram ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ represent ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ. Example like employee is an entity name. Next is attribute. Attribute is a property or entity or a relationship type. Each entity has attribute. The property of any entity is called an attribute. An entity has more than one attribute. A particular property that describe an entity is called attribute. For example, an employee entity may describe by employee number, age, name, then salary and address. These all things are called the attribute or the properties of an entity. ਜਿਹੜੀ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ property ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆਪਣਾ entity ਨੂੰ describe ਕਰਦੀ ਹੈ, that is called an attribute. And particular entity will have a value of each of its attribute. The attribute values that describe each entity become a major part of data stored in the database. These are the data elements that describe an entity. For each attribute, there is a set of permitted value called domain or value set of attribute. The attribute are as follows. ਮਤਲਬ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਇੱਕ ਐਂਟਿਟੀ ਆ, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਡਿਸਕਰਾਈਬ ਕਰਨ ਨੂੰ ਉਹਦੀਆਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਪਰਟੀਜ਼ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਥਰੂ ਐਟਰੀਬਿਊਟ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਡਿਸਕਰਾਈਬ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਅਤੇ ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਡਿਸਕਰਾਈਬ ਕਰਨ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਇੱਕ ਸੈਟ ਆਫ ਵੈਲਿਊਜ਼ ਦੈਟ ਇਜ਼ ਕਾਲਡ ਡੋਮੇਨ ਟੂ ਡਿਸਕਰਾਈਬ ਆ entity. This is the example of entity and attribute. In the first diagram, student is an entity and roll number, name, address and age. These are the attribute of a entity student. That means that are the properties of a student entity, and each attribute is described in a oval shape in the ER diagram. Roll number, name, address, age, these all are called the entity, or these all are called the attribute of the entity student. In the second diagram, book is an entity and ISBN number, title, author and price, these all are the properties of the book, or in the other word, these are the attribute of a entity book. Every attribute is described in a oval shape in the ER diagram. Types of attribute. Then our attribute is divided into different mainly three types of attribute occurs in ER model. First one is simple and composite attribute. Second one is single value and multi-value attribute. Third one is stored and derived attribute. Simple and composite attribute that are not divisible are simple and atomic attribute. ਜਿਹੜੇ ਵੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਕੋਲ attribute further ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ divisible divide ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ, like age ਆ, ਉਹਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਉਹਦਾ sex ਆ, then ਉਹਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਮਤਲਬ gender ਆ, these all are called the simple attribute. If there is no need to refer to the individual component of an address, the whole address designed to as a simple attribute. Composite attribute can be divided into smaller subparts which represent more basic attribute with independent meaning. For example, address attribute of a student entity. Composite attribute can form a hierarchy. The value of composite attribute is a continuation of the value of its constituents simple attribute. This is the example of composite attribute are drawn in blue. Address is basically address is an attribute that is again divided into three parts: street address, city, state, and pin code. This is called composite attribute. In the other hand, if there is an attribute age, then age is a simple attribute. Then single valued and multi-valued attribute. Most attributes have a single value for a particular entity. Such attributes are called single value attribute. For example, age is a single value attribute of the student. In some cases, the attribute can have a set of values for same entity. For example, color attribute for a car or college degree attribute for a person. Car have two or more than two colors. Similarly, one person may have one or more than one degree. So, different person can have different number of values for the college degree attribute. Such attribute is called multi-valued attribute. These may have the number of values. ਜਿਹੜੇ ਵੀ ਐਟਰੀਬਿਊਟ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪਣੀਆਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਵੈਲਿਊਜ਼ ਆ ਉਹ ਵੇਰੀ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੀਆਂ ਹੋਣ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਾਂ ਮਲਟੀ ਵੈਲਿਊਡ ਐਟਰੀਬਿਊਟ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ। ਲਾਈਕ ਹੁਣ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਇੱਕ ਪਰਸਨ ਕੋਲ ਡਿਗਰੀਜ਼ ਨੰਬਰ ਆਫ ਡਿਗਰੀਜ਼ ਕਿਸੇ ਕੋਲ ਇੱਕ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ, ਕਿਸੇ ਕੋਲ ਦੋ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀਆਂ, ਕਿਸੇ ਕੋਲ ਚਾਰ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀਆਂ। ਸੋ ਦੇਅਰ ਇਜ਼ ਅ number of degrees is a multi-valued attribute. Maybe a person have only one degree and other person have 2 degrees and a third person have more than 2 degrees. Then the number of degrees is a multi-valued attribute. Next is stored and derived attribute. In a certain case, two or more attributes are related, like age and date of birth attribute of a person. For particular person entity, a value of age can be determined from the current today date and the value of the person's date of birth. The age attribute hence is called the derived attribute and is said to be derived from the date of birth attribute, which is called stored attribute. ਹੁਣ ਆਪਣੇ ਕੋਲ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਇੱਕ ਡਾਟਾਬੇਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਐਟਰੀਬਿਊਟ ਸਟੋਰ ਆ। ਲਾਈਕ ਮੇਰੇ ਕੋਲ ਇੱਕ ਐਟਰੀਬਿਊਟ ਸਟੋਰਡ ਹੈਗਾ ਵਾ ਡੇਟ ਆਫ ਬਰਥ। ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਮੇਰੇ ਕੋਲ ਇੰਪਲੋਏ ਜਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਇੱਕ ਸਟੂਡੈਂਟ ਆ ਉਹਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਮੇਰੇ ਕੋਲ ਐਂਟੀਟੀ ਇੰਪਲੋਏ ਔਰ ਇਟ ਮੇ ਬੀ ਸਟੂਡੈਂਟ, ਉਹਦੀ ਇੱਕ ਐਟਰੀਬਿਊਟ ਹੈਗਾ ਡੇਟ ਆਫ ਬਰਥ। ਡੇਟ ਆਫ ਬਰਥ ਇਜ਼ ਅ ਸਟੋਰਡ ਐਟਰੀਬਿਊਟ। ਬਟ ਡੇਟ ਆਫ ਬਰਥ ਤੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਸ ਇੰਪਲੋਏ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਏਜ ਡਰਾਈਵ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਲਾਈਕ ਅੱਜ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਡੇਟ ਆਫ ਬਰਥ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਉਹਦੀ ਕਰੰਟ ਡੇਟ ਤੋਂ ਡੇਟ ਆਫ ਬਰਥ ਉਹਦੀ ਮਾਈਨਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਉਹਦੀ ਟੋਟਲ ਏਜ ਕੀ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਦੈਟਸ ਵਾਈ ਦਿਸ ਏਜ ਇਜ਼ ਦਾ ਡਰਾਈਵਡ ਐਟਰੀਬਿਊਟ ਫਰੋਮ ਦੀ ਸਟੋਰਡ ਐਟਰੀਬਿਊਟ ਦੈਟ ਇਜ਼ ਡੇਟ ਆਫ ਬਰਥ। ਜਿਹੜੇ ਵੀ ਐਟਰੀਬਿਊਟ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਟੋਰਡ ਐਟਰੀਬਿਊਟ ਤੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪ ਜਨਰੇਟ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਦੈਟ ਐਟਰੀਬਿਊਟ ਇਜ਼ ਕਾਲਡ ਦੀ ਡਰਾਈਵਡ ਐਟਰੀਬਿਊਟ। Next is entity type and entity set. An entity set is a set of entities of same type that share the same properties of attribute. For example, set of all persons who are employed in a given company can be defined as a entity set employee. There are two types of entity, dependent and independent. An entity set whose existence depends on the existence of other entity is called a dependent entity. For example, consider an entity set student and a course and other type offering. Basically, entity type has the same types of entity that share same properties or attribute. कोई भी ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਇੱਕ entity ਆ ਜਾਂ entity set ਆ ਜਿਹਦਾ share ਕਰਦਾ same type of properties that are called the entity set. ਲਾਈਕ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਕੰਪਨੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿੰਨੇ ਵੀ EMPLOYE ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਸੇਮ ਐਟਰੀਬਿਊਟ ਹੋਣਗੇ, ਸੇਮ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਪਰਟੀਜ਼ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋਣਗੇ, ਸੋ ਦੈਟ ਆਰ ਕਾਲਡ ਦੀ ਐਂਟਿਟੀ ਸੈਟ. Basically the entity types are two types. One is dependent entity and second one is independent entity. This is the example of entity type and entity set. Like offering course is an independent entity and offering is a dependent entity. A course with the same code can be offered in the different semester at the different campus. The existence of offering depend on the existence of entity type course. A dependent entry is in double line box is and connected by a line through entity on which it depends. An independent entity does not depend on any other entity for its existence. Dependent entity are called weak entity and the independent entity are called regular entity. In this diagram, course is a independent entity and offering is a dependent entity. Offering is depend upon the entity course. If the course entity is exist, then only offering entity is exist. Without course entity, only a single offering entity does not exist. So offering is a weak entity and course is a strong entity or regular entity type. In the double rectangular box shows the weak entity type. In a university offers a course in Java programming in 5th semester, the university can offer this course only if the instant Java programming already exists. If the university decide to drop entity instance Java programming from its curriculum, the offering of the course must be also exist. This is relationship among the entity. This is the relationship among two entity and how this can be described. A relationship is the association among the several entities. For example, there is a relationship between student and teacher, employee and their manager and their general manager. These all are called the relationship among the entities. ਆਪਣੇ ਕੋਲ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਵੀ ਦੋ ਐਂਟੀਜ਼ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੋਈ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਰਿਲੇਸ਼ਨਸ਼ਿਪ ਨੂੰ ਡਿਸਕ੍ਰਾਈਬ ਕਰਨ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਾਂ this concept is called relationship among the different entities, and there are mainly four types of relationship. There is one to one relationship, one to many relationship, many to one relationship and many to many relationship, which is discussed in later on. Their relationship represent the fact that a teacher teach several students and a student taught by a several teachers. The relationship name can be named as teaching. The relationship type is an association of entity type, while a relationship instance is the association of entity instance. There are two entities, one is teacher and second one is student, and teaching is this diamond box is describe the relationship among these two entities. Teacher teaching number of students, and number of students can be teach from the many teachers. Then teacher is an entity, and name and teacher id, these are the attribute of teacher entity. And in the other hand, student have two attribute, name and student id. This is the many to many relationship. These that means a single teacher can teach more than one student or number of students, or in the other hand, number of students can be teaching by the different teachers. So in this relationship there is many to many relationship. Teaching is the relationship among these two entity.